everyone. Welcome to our newest session of Let's Be Connected. I'm Shaima from Nearest University, and I would like to welcome all of our viewers today. So Let's Be Connected, it's the newest project of Nearest University when it comes to attempting to connect everyone, whether it's students or officers, lecturers, and various guests, and give them an opportunity to interact and communicate with each other and better understand what Nearest University offers. So without any delay, I'm going to introduce today's guest, Dr. Gürkan Ünsal, a faculty member of the dentistry department. Dear doctor, welcome.
Yes, I guess you can hear me right now.
Yes, definitely. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me, by the way.
It's a pleasure. The pleasure is ours. It's very honorable for us for you to have accepted our invitation. Thank you so much. So how has everything been so far with the newest situation, and how have you coped?
So we are just trying to adjust ourselves. We started to just work regularly on Monday, so it's our third day actually. We just had some emergency situations during the coronavirus outbreak, but we are getting adjusted to it. As you know, the TRNC has no coronavirus or active coronavirus cases as far as we know. So this is something good for us because, as you may know, dentists are in the high-risk group for the coronavirus. So especially for my profession, we have to deal with lots of infections, and it's good that our country is a little bit safer right now.
Yes, exactly. Definitely, I understand your positivity when it comes to the current situation. Definitely, like you said, it's a positive thing for everyone. Definitely, but especially for people in your profession. So if you will allow me now to start with some questions so that we can get started with today's session. I will just jump right into the topic. So can you just begin maybe by telling us what are the steps to becoming a dentist?
Actually, the steps are not that hard if you are going to talk about it, because the thing is, unlike the United States, you don't have to go for a 2-year bachelor's degrees in Cyprus and in Turkey also. So you will have a 5 years of dental education in order to be a dentist. And after you graduate, then you can have the diploma to do the dental procedures. Then you will be a dentist. And if you have problems with English when you just arrive to the university, then you will have a 1-year preparation class before going to the dental school, actually. So I can say that it's 5 years if you are good in English, and it's 6 years if you will have the preparation class.
That's nice. So I would ask another question that is a bit related, because you did go into the time frame of the program. So can you tell us how dental school in general, how do they work? What is the framework behind it? Because we know that it's different from normal programs. So can you maybe elaborate on this, please?
Yeah, of course. So it's better to go a year-by-year guide, because it will be better to explain the dental education, because the years will be different than each other. So before starting, it's completely natural to be a little bit nervous about the dental school's education, because it's known with it's not easy. Everybody knows that. And understanding what to expect may ease your fears, and you will feel better because you will be prepared for what is ahead. So let's start with the freshman year, the first year. So in my opinion, this is the hardest year because it's a period for adjustment. You will just live in a different country. You will just leave your family, and you will just have an intense education after the high school. So you will have more responsibilities, and the grades will not be that easier to have. So you should expect to spend a lot of hours in lectures in the first years. You will have a backbone lectures such as biochemistry, anatomy, and biology, and those will be different from what you had in high school. So this will be a little bit tougher. So since our faculty has the integrated system, we will ensure the integrity of the lectures. In high school, you will have the physics lecture, and then you will go for completely independent chemistry, and you will go for the biology. And sometimes there is no integrity between those lectures. But in our university, since we have the integrated system, you will have an intense lectures in the first year, and you will learn a lot about the fundamentals of dentistry. You will learn the handcraft. The handcraft is very important for us, as you may know. And actually, Oxford Dictionary defines handcraft as the activity of making attractive objects by hand. And these attractive objects will be the crowns and the implants and the fillings in the future. So you will just try to adjust it in the first year, and you will have lots of elective courses from sculpting to history, from sports to social media influencing, and there are lots of different stuff which is not about the dentistry. So the first year there will be core lectures, there will be the dental lectures, and there will be elective lectures. So it's a part for adjustment. The second year of dental school, you will be more comfortable in your second year. The school will get a bit tougher, but you also know a lot of stuff. So both dental laboratory practical lessons and regular lectures will be more intense, but you will just get used to it because after the first year, then you will have some kind of experience. And third year of dental school, it's just like a bridge between the clinic and the theoretical lectures. So there are different policies for different dental schools, but you may have your first opportunity to work on a real human being in the third year. It will most likely be your another dental student. You will not have anything which is too invasive or complicated, but it will be like a bridge in the third year. And the fourth and fifth years of the dentistry school, those are the final classes, by the way. I think they are the best times because you are going to be a dentist in the following year or exact that year, and you are almost a dentist. So you will spend the half of the day or even more to treat a real patient under the supervision of your lectures, of course, and you will just learn the fundamentals of the dental procedures and on a real patient. So basically, a year-by-year guide is like this. The first 2 years will be theoretical, and you will have some handcraft. Third year will be the bridge, and the fourth and fifth year, you will be in the clinic most of the time.
That was a very instructive explanation of the dental school, and I think it's very important because we might have students who are prospective students who are still in high school, and they might be at the point where they want to choose dentistry, but they are still leaning towards something else. So I think giving such a broad spectrum of a year-by-year explanation, I think this explains to them this explains a lot about what they can expect in each year, and also prepare themselves accordingly. Yeah, like you said, it was beautifully put that students come from different countries and they come here and they have to adjust to a new of course, academic life, but at the same time, it's nice to see that faculty members are aware of this fact, so they help students to accommodate better. It's very nice. Thank you so much. So the next question, it's related to the current new. As if I may put it this way, the new world that we're living in, the technological world, everything has been taken online now. As you mentioned, dentistry is indeed different from some normative faculties because of its practical sense and the practical aspects of it. So is it possible for you to maybe tell us how you transitioned from the normal methods to the online methods, and maybe even the exams? How did the examination methods change? What were the most difficult aspects of this, and how did the faculty deal with this?
So, as you mentioned, the fourth and fifth class in dentistry is a bit different because most of the time you will be in the clinic. So it's so hard to make up for this time with online lectures, but especially for the first 3 years, the first, second, and the third year, the online lectures are not so different from the classroom activities, but this is my opinion, of course. I guess we are one of the pioneer dental schools, by the way, in means of we accommodated it ourselves with the online courses very swiftly. Because due to coronavirus outbreak, we tried to schedule every single lecture with intent planning. And since we are somehow familiar with the technology, we just stopped panicking at a certain point and we just tried to do something. Because the problem is, our students may lost a full year because of the coronavirus. It doesn't mean that they have to wait. I know that studying from your house is not the best option, especially if there's a coronavirus outbreak. But since you are going to be a dentist, it's a profession with lots of responsibility. So we have an online system, and I guess it was mentioned before from the other lecturers, and it's called Unsal. So as the lecturers, we upload all of our materials from videos, lectures, from the full lecture notes. We just upload them to a system in which they can just connect to it 7/24. They can just go online and they can download the material also, and they can watch the lectures again and again. The problem with the conventional system is you cannot have the same lecture for 4 or 5 times, because there's a problem because no one is recording it. Maybe we will adjust two systems when everything is going to be somehow normal. Maybe we will start to record our lectures. I don't know, but this is just an opinion. So if the student just missed some points, then they can just go back and take the lecture again. Some of our students are a bit shy, so sometimes they're afraid to ask questions. We just tell them that they can ask anything at all, because they're going to practice on real patients, not on the notebooks. So they have to be sure about their procedures. And I guess for those kind of students, it's better to have the online lecture, because somehow, as a student, it was so hard for me to wake up at 7 or 8 and prepare myself for the school, go to school, take the bus. And if you will just have your online lectures, I mean the theoretical lectures, of course, then you don't have to take the bus, then you don't have to prepare yourself, put your makeup or put your best t-shirt, I don't know which one you prefer. And actually, it has got it has some pros. But for the cons, some of our students did not like it, and it's completely okay, because we are trying to adjust it. We didn't plan it like 2 or 3 years before. It just happened in the middle of nowhere. The coronavirus outbreak just occurred, and we just had to find a solution for it. And as you may know, Google and Facebook told their employees that many workers who can do their jobs remotely should plan to do so until 2021. So this is not just for us, this is what's going on for the world. And the examination system are quite like the conventional examination in the classroom. Since the students take the exam on an online system, they will use their keyboards and their mouses instead of their pens and pencils. So I know this is a bit different because you will have more screen time. So you will just take the lectures from online, you will just stay there for a long time. I know it's a little bit a tough situation for the students, but I guess there's not a huge difference between taking the examination online, because we have to get used to this. We just had enough papers, we just had enough pens and pencils, and it's also good for the environment, but we didn't think about it in the first place, of course.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. Thank you for your answer once again. Like you said, it's nice to hear the pros and the cons of this situation, because yes, of course, we didn't think about the environment at the beginning, but it's nice to see that by default the environment is also winning. So that's a plus. And also the fact that you mentioned that students now they have this opportunity to do everything from their home. This is one big positive aspect of this outcome, is that they are at the comfort of their homes and they can do everything apart from the practicals, which maybe you can explain to us in a bit. What about those students who are at the stage that they need to do the practicals? But yeah, I think you put it very nicely that it is, even the cons, we have to adapt to them because it's a situation that we cannot control. So we need to just adapt and move on. And like I was just mentioning, is it possible for you to explain to those students who are concerned about the practical side, how do they go about practicals from their house?
So this was one of the topics that we had some minor disagreements among each other and among the students. Because the thing is, for the 4th and the 5th year, you cannot just do anything online, because you are not going to treat a patient from a webcam and you cannot show it to a supervisor. So we are just delaying this until everything is going to be somewhat normal. But for the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd year, if the students have their materials with themselves, then they can just go with the homeworks that we already planned for. If they do not have any of these materials, then they can wait until the gates and the airports are open, and then they can just come and do their homeworks in September or October. We don't know when it's going to end or when it's going to be stable, at least. So we have got two options for the students, and if they have their materials, they can do it right now. take the pictures of it, send to us, and then we will evaluate them and we will ask them to do it again, or we will just tell them that they passed it. Or the second option is they are going to do all of this stuff when they will come to Cyprus, actually, to Northern Cyprus. And then they will have the time, they will have the laboratories, and then we will have an intense program for the practical lessons. Then they will have the second option if they do not have the material. So it's a bit complicated, but the students have options for it.
Exactly, like you put it, it is complicated indeed, but the fact that Newish University, the Faculty of Dentistry, is indeed prepared with options, this is a big advancement indeed, that even students, if they have questions, I believe they are open to come to you, to the faculty members, to ask, for example, about the practicals, what they can do. So thank you once again for your answer. So now let's jump into another section whereby let's put the student, a dentistry student, as the focal point. What can you say about the skills of a dentist? What makes a dentist stand out when it comes to their skills, a student?
So when I was started in dentistry, when I was in the first year, you will just see what you lack and what you have as a strong skill. So when I just started, my handcraft was not that good, and that's why I had to practice a lot. So if you already have a talent for the handcraft, it means that you will have somehow credit times in the first and the second year, because it's more about the manipulation and the handcraft. So you will take the wax or the soap and you are going to just carve them in a tooth shape in order to learn the anatomy, in order to learn the morphology. So if you are familiar with this, if you are painting or just if you love to draw, then it means that there's a possibility that you will be more successful than your peers. But this is not something that you can only rely on, because you have to practice. It's not like sculpting, it's not like drawing, it's not like painting, it's something else. So you are doing a profession actually. But if you have a good handcraft before starting the dentistry school, this is cool, because then you will have good times in the first and the second year. The other thing is problem solving. You will have intense lectures and you will have some practical lessons. And also in the fourth and the fifth year, you will be like a dentist. You are almost a dentist if you're in fourth and fifth class. So as you may know, there are lots of complications in dentistry. While we are going for a root canal treatment, while we are going for a tooth extraction, so there will be some inconvenience that you never experienced at all. So you never dealt with a person who has a bleeding, right? Or who has an intense pain. So in dentistry, you will just try to learn how to solve the problems, and problem solving needs patience. So you have to be patient and you have to be sure in order to improve your problem solving skills. So if you are good at multitasking and if you are good at problem solving, then you will have a huge upper hand when you're in dentistry, especially in fourth and fifth year and after you graduate. So number one is handcraft, number two is problem solving, and the compassion. The thing is, dental procedures can cause fear and anxiety, and not all of your patients will be thrilled to see you each time. So you need to have the compassion to withstand certain types of treatments. So think about this. You will have the older patient, the elder patients, you will have children patients, and you have to know how they feel. So the best dentists will be alert to these feelings and show compassion before, because you have to show it. You are not doing something with general anesthesia most of the time. The person can just look into your eyes, they will stare to your eyes. So you need that compassion. Time management is important, because you will have patients, you will have the appointments. You cannot waste your time, because the patient is just lying on the dental chair with a wide open mouth. So you cannot just take your time for 4 or 5 hours, and the patient will be tired eventually. So you need to learn the time management, how to manage your time positively or better. So this is also important. And the leadership, if you are going for your own clinic, you have to deal with lots of different problems. Like you have to communicate with the dental technician, like the front office employees. You have to talk with the patient. You have to buy some stuff. You have to talk with the insurance companies. So you need to just manage them. You need to have some kind of skill sets for the organizing and also the leadership, because you will be the only one who is responsible with what's going on in your clinic. Nobody's going to blame your technician or front office employee because you did something wrong. So leadership is also important. So if I have to count them again: handcraft, problem solving, compassion, time management, and leadership. But this was just based on my observations.
Definitely, and it's quite an instructive observation, I believe, because most of our prospective students who are watching us right now, if you think that you have any of these qualities and you are leaning towards dentistry as an option for your tertiary education, definitely give it a thought. And I think this was very helpful. So we did talk about the skills of a dentist, of a student of the dentistry department. So what about you, from your personal experience, from your teaching experience rather? What have you noticed? How do you qualify your successful students?
I'm not a very experienced lecturer, to be honest. I'm just giving the lectures for 3 years, for around 3 years. But based on my observations, the students who really have a plan after the graduation and who have a love for dentistry and who do not give up will always be successful. Because the students who have a plan after they graduate, they always think about what they are going to do after they graduate. So while they're observing you, they're looking from a different kind of perspective. They're not just trying to learn something because you are just telling them. They just try to create this own scenarios in their minds. So they just say, okay, let's say if I will have a clinic, what am I going to do with this? So if they have a plan, like if they want to go for postgraduate PhD programs or specialty programs, or if they just go with their own dental clinic, then those people will be the people with the plans. So they pay much more attention to the details. So as far as I know, they are very successful. By the way, what I mean with successful is not about the grades. Because being successful in the school and being a successful dentist is a completely two different things. You may be good when you have a supervisor while you treat a patient, but when you graduate, you will have no one who is going to supervise you. So this is a different perspective. So in case you rely on somebody too much, you will have problems after you graduate. But as we are talking about the dentistry students, I will go with the students who have a plan and also who have a love for dentistry. As a first year, I had to be honest, terrible time management, and my handcraft was subpar, let's say. But you can just develop these skills when you are in the dentistry school. Actually, this is one of the reasons we have an education who lasts for 5 years. Because in the first 3 years, you just learn the basic lectures and you just try to understand the basic dental procedures. Actually, when you're in the fourth class, you had never just had a contact with a patient. That's why it takes a lot, because you need to have this experience. And also, I really love the students who never gives up. Let's say they have low grades and they just don't say, okay, I will just fail this lecture for this year and I'll try my best for the following year. If you are going to be a dentist, sometimes you just have this negative aspects. Let's say you are treating a patient, the patient has anxiety, you may have minor problem with the instruments, or you may have a fight with someone before that day. So you have to just live with these negativities. So this is same for the dentistry students. I know that they have lots of pressure on themselves because their family wants them to be successful. And I know that dentistry education is not very affordable. It's actually a bit expensive because the materials cost a bit, and then they will have the uniforms and the materials. So their families expect a lot, and you have to love the dentistry if you just want to apply for it. If you are like not certain, you will have lots of years before contacting a patient. But if you really love dentistry, if you really want to be a dentist, I guess you will be successful. That's the main point, I guess.
Thank you for your answer. Like you basically put, if they have the motivation and the passion, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Exactly.
So given your answer, it explained a lot about the complexity of the dentistry department. Given this context, can you let us know if, for example, if a student has extra needs when it comes to advice or knowledge, can they, outside the classroom, are they open to reaching out to you or faculty members to request for extra help?
The thing is, there is a principle in dentistry schools. I learned it from my lecturers, and I hope I can teach this to my students. There's a principle called the master and the apprentice relationship. So it's just like you have a skill and you have to teach it to your students and you have to show them actually. So a dentistry student can just ask every single detail about its life, because after a certain point, the fourth a student from the fourth class and you are going to treat the same patient together. So you have to know each other. So you have to know the problems. Of course, maybe it's sometimes impossible to help in all aspects. But if you think about it, the master and apprentice relationship is such a unique relationship. And in some professions, you do not have this. You don't have to have this to be actually, to be honest. The thing is, if you will have this relationship, then you can help each other. Sometimes we get some help from our students too, because they're younger than us and they have this fresh thinking, and they can just guide us sometimes. Before taking some decisions, we usually talk with them, so they can also help us. But of course, a dentistry student and the lecturer's relationship is always different. I will just say this.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you. Because this is a very important point for those students who are looking forward to come to study dentistry, because they need to know what kind of relationship, like you mentioned, what kind of relationship they are going to enter, because this is going to last 5 years of their tertiary education, and it's a big chunk of their life. So thank you for your answer, for having shed light on that. Now, maybe we can talk about those students who they have graduated now. What
Mhm.
would be advice to students who are graduating from the dentistry department?
So, what is my advice for the students after the graduating?
Yes, exactly. Once they have graduated, what do you advise them? Where do they go from there?
One of the best things with dentistry is you have multiple options. And what I mean with multiple options is really multiple options. My father was also a dentist, and we had lots of conversations about this. And when you just observe dentists, they always have different unique talents or different unique goals. So there are lots of things to do. Let me elaborate it a little bit. They can go for the general dentistry. They do not have to go for a postgraduate PhD program or a specialty program, because even if you stay in general dentistry, there are lots of things that you can do. You do not have to go for an advanced training in the first step. You can go for the academics, you can go for the research, you can even work on in the military, you can go for public health, you can go for corporate dentistry, you can go for private practice or the group practice. You can be in an international healthcare, or you can just go for a hospital care. So there are lots of options. You can just work as an individual, you can work as a group or as a hospital or as an organization. Or if you do not want to stay in general dentistry, if you want to learn vertically, if you want to learn something with the depth, then you can go for the PhD programs or the specialty programs. As far as I know, there are 9 dental specialties that is on right now. It depends on the country. Some countries have even more. Then they have this subgroups of this specialties. You can be a surgeon, you can be a radiologist, you can be a pathologist, and you can study orthodontics, which is very famous because of all of the films in the United States. They always mention the orthodontics and the surgeries. You can go for periodontics or the prosthodontics, and if you will just concentrate, let me elaborate it a little bit. You are going to do completely different things from a general dentist. For example, I'm a radiologist. So what I study is the imagings and how to interpret these images and how I'm going to make a diagnosis. So if you will have a false diagnosis, then you will have the false treatment, because the diagnosis is the first step. And while a surgeon will go for the invasive procedures like surgical operations. And orthodontics, it's possible that an orthodontist is not going to deal with a lot of blood, but they're doing a completely different and unique thing. They're just giving you a perfect smile. So if you will have a pain, a huge pain, then you will go for a root canal treatment, and this is called endodontics. So if you need an implant or if you need a new smile, then you will go for the prosthodontics. I can just keep talking about it a lot because the departments are doing a lot of different stuff from each other. So it's a bit different from the general dentistry. I just tried to work for 6 months in general dentistry. I worked really hard, and I just found out that doing the same thing was not for me. But my father is a general dentist for 41 years, and he really enjoys it. He has this communication with his patients. But you don't have to have the same passion for this. So I love physics and the engineering information. So I just tried to be a radiologist, but one of my closest friend is just a surgeon because he loves to interpret this stuff. He loves these procedures. So it all depends on your personal traits. It also depends on who inspires you. So in order to put it together, you can go for general dentistry, you can go for PhD programs, you can be an academician, you can be a researcher, or you can go for a specialty and do what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you again. So it's very useful for you to give us the alternative options, those who don't want to immediately pursue their postgraduate. It's nice to see that there are alternative options.
Mhm.
Question, anyways, was going to be related to postgraduate studies. So it's good that you already opened that platform for me. So you did mention the different options, which were many, and it's very nice to hear that there is a vast array of options to choose from when it comes to postgraduates and postgraduate studies and specialities. While you did mention about the list of programs, can you tell us what the advantages are for those who will pursue the postgraduate studies? What are the advantages of pursuing the postgraduate studies for dentistry?
If you are going for a postgraduate or a specialty program, it means that you are going to do a certain thing for the rest of your time. As you can see, general dentistry has all of these procedures inside. They can go for root canal treatment, implants, the crowns, the fillings, the cleanings, the gum treatment, and all of this. But let's give an example. If you will go for periodontology, then you will only deal with the gum most of the time. You will go with the implants. So right now, instead of doing 500 things, you are just going to concentrate on 100 things, let's say. So you have more time for some particular procedures. So you have the possibility to be one of the best who do this procedure actually. So you don't have to go for the specialty, you can go for the PhD program and you can understand the fundamentals of it. Instead of doing this, you can just invent a new style or you can just find a new technique in order to treat a patient. So specialty and PhD programs has these minor differences. So if you want to be the one who just has all of the literature and do these procedures, then you can go for the specialty. But for the postgraduate PhD programs, you can just set the trend, you can find a new technique, or you can just go with the dental public health, and you can just investigate what is wrong with the oral health or the oral hygiene of the population, and you can find solutions for it. I have some friends who study dental public health, and they also investigate the things about the waters, the food, the diets, how people just eat, why you should not consume the acidic beverages. And maybe your lifetime, you will have a different lifetime. You will not going to be a dentist who do the fillings, but you can be the dentist who just avoids this, and you can just prevent the patients to have caries. So postgraduate is more about finding a new technique or a new way to do stuff.
That's very informative again. Thank you. So it is nice to see, like you said, doing a postgraduate study in something that is just slightly different from what was being done before. It does have its advantages because it, in one way or the other, it is going to be related to the program anyways. So can you maybe, before we jump out of this question, can you tell us from your own observation, do students who graduate from our undergraduate programs, dentistry department rather, do they prefer to continue studying at nearest university for their postgraduate studies?
Well, it depends on their personality. Some dentistry students are very curious, so they want to know deeper, so they go for the postgraduate programs. And some of them has this perfect handcraft, and they just want to go with the procedures right away. They want to create the best smile, so they will go for the practice. So it's more about you. It's all about what you want to do with your rest of your time. So you can go for a PhD program, and you can just stop it and go for the general dentistry, or vice versa. You can go for the general dentistry, and you can go for the PhD program when you are 40 years old. So it's never too late. We have some PhD students who are older than 35. So it's completely okay because after you do the procedures, then you will know better. I just didn't want to jump into a particular PhD program without doing any general practice. That's why I just had this 6 months after the graduation. So this is something that I can advise. I just try to experience the each procedures and chose which one I love. So they can do this. Sometimes right after they graduate, they want to go for a postgraduate program, and sometimes they're not happy with this. So if they will go for general practice a little bit more, then they can just find it and they can choose it. So what I see is the curious ones who just wants to learn more, and the ones who wants to create a new stuff. Sometimes you will just having a lecture, and one student just asks a question, and he or she says, "Why are we doing this like that? So can't we do this like this?" So this is like an advice from your student to you, and you can just say, "Okay, we can work about it." You don't have to be in the academics when you are 25, 35, 45. There's no age restriction. You can just involve in academic studies when you are in the dentistry school, when you're in the third class. So we had some projects, especially about the public health, dental public health, and our students had just this unique thoughts about how can we just be better with the oral health, because they have the communication better than us, because we are most of the time we are studying, and they are somewhat not started to study that much. They have this fresh ideas that maybe we just missed. So if you have new ideas, if you are curious, if you want to do something different, then you can go for the postgraduate programs.
Thank you again for that. I believe was a great piece of advice in itself. So the next question, maybe it's going to be related to the accreditation now.
Mhm.
Can you please explain or shed some light rather on the accreditation of the
Mhm.
dentistry
Mhm.
program in our university and the diploma as well?
So we just talked about this with our vice dean. I just wanted to have some information about accreditation programs. I know that if you graduate from Near East University, you can work in Turkey, Nigeria, and Iran right away. But the thing is, there are just new agreements, and the students just refresh their information all the time. Because the thing is, there are lots of new agreements going on, and since we are living in a different world right now because of this coronavirus outbreak, we do not know what the future will bring. But for today, we will have the accreditation in Turkey, Nigeria, and Iran, and I guess there will be more. The accreditation program is like this. So if you will graduate from dentistry, there are always some unique tests that you can take for each country. So if you do not have the accreditation for, let's say, the Great Britain, it doesn't mean that you can never work there. So you just have to participate to their own exam with your own diploma, and then you will have the chance to have this to get this accreditation by yourself. But as far as I know, we have this agreement with Nigeria, Iran, and Turkey.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you so much. It's very important to add a section about the accreditation because a lot of our prospective students, we have given them so much information about the department, etc. But then at the end of the day, there is this focus on the accreditation aspect. So thank you for having clear that.
And also,
So now,
one of the thing is, sorry, I just interrupted you. The thing is, most of the countries have their own laws. So if you want to work abroad, then you have to know their social insurances. You have to know their laws about the healthcare, because there are lots of differences between the laws. For example, in Turkey, you can have the insurance and you can go for the dentistry procedures right away, but it's sometimes not
Um, I guess we are back now. I would like to apologize for this technical issue. Of course, being online, the technological world has its ups and downs, but we will stay. We will be the bankers at the end. So yeah, we're now back on, and we were talking about the accreditation. You wanted to add something about the accreditation, I believe.
Yeah. The thing is, we have to just search for the laws in particular countries. For example, if you want to work in Great Britain, or if you want to work in France or any other country, if you want to work in India, so you have to search for their own laws. So it's different in Japan, it's different in India, it's different in England. And sometimes even the name dentistry is different in some countries. In some countries, our profession is known as a stomatologist. So even the name can be different. So you have to read their laws very carefully. And most of the countries will give you a chance to work in that country. So it's not just about the accreditation. So since it's a bit different from the engineering, we are going to deal with lots of laws. So for a software engineer, a program is a program, so you can code it, so you can study with or work with a lot of people. But if you are treating a real patient, then there are lots of healthcare laws that you should know. So even if you have the accreditation for a particular country, still you have to learn a lot of information. Still, you need to learn a lot.
Definitely. I think this was a very important addition as well because, like you mentioned, it's important to know which country you're going to choose. So this should be a hurdle or a prevention to you choosing your career. So thank you once again for your very helpful answer. Now I think we have covered everything when it comes to the program in general. So, what about some pros and cons of dentistry in general? As a fellow dentist yourself, what can you say about dentistry in general? Is it about the positive aspects, the negative aspects? Is there any negative aspects at all? Please, the floor is yours.
So one of the thing is when you just have a job or a profession in your mind, you always want to see the pros, not the cons. Because before getting into the actual job, you always think about the pros. I'm going to be a dentist. I will be like a community figure. I will hopefully be highly respected and trusted. So let's start with the pros in order to give the positive side first. So you are going. This is a respected profession because you are going to deal with the healthcare. So you need to be more responsible. They will show you the respect, but they will expect you to do the best option or the best treatment. And there is an ability to help the people. So you are going to help those people and you will just ease their pain. You are going to give them a better smile. And right now, the dentistry changed a little bit because we have this cosmetic dentistry right now. So you can just give them a new look. You can just have this cosmetic dentistry procedures. And everybody concentrates on restoring their smile, self-confidence, and self-image, but you will also help them for eating and speaking. So you are going to just, let's say, repair their functions, especially. So this is much more important, in my opinion. But you will help the people. Your job is to help the people with their health. So this is something which makes you feel really proud. And the job stability, I think dentistry is like it has one of the lowest unemployment rates in all of the countries. So when you graduate from dentistry, you are not going to just search every single area like how I'm going to find a job. You are not going to say this. There will be options for you. And in dentistry, it's easier to just experience different kind of ways. So you can go for the PhD program. If it's not for you, you can go for the specialty program. You can go and form your own clinic. If none of them is for you, you can even go and work in the military. So the range is so wide. The income is good, of course. We always talk about this. And the problem is whenever you watch a United States movie or a Hollywood movie, you know that always dentists are also the ones who always earn the most. But it's not the same for all of the countries, of course. So do not fall for this Hollywood effect. This is one of my advices. But of course, you will have your own life. It's easier to have your own place if you compare it with the other professions. So I'm not going to lie about it. The income is better than most of the professions. Owning your own clinic may provide you a balanced lifestyle. So you can just decide that you are going to work on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Wednesday and Friday is your free time. If you will have your own clinic, then you will just have the spare time that you need. So this is one of the positive sides when I just said, okay, I want to go with dentistry, because my father was a general dentist and he had his own clinic. So if he wants to just have some free time, then he was just doing his appointments and he said, I'm not going to work for the rest of the month. So he has this luxury. I chose to be a dentist, but right now I'm in the university, so we do not have the same experience with my father. But this is like, if you will own your own clinic, you will have a balanced lifestyle, and it will be like a self-employment. You can be your own boss. So some people have problems with working with others. So if you just want to have this leadership, or if you want to go with your own business, then you can just go with the self-employment and you can have your own clinic. So pros are like, you are going to have a respected profession, and you will have the ability to help the people. Your job is going to be stable for a long time. I'm pretty sure about it. So the income will be good. Owning your clinic may provide you a balanced lifestyle, and you will have the self-employment. However, let's talk about the cons right now, because most of the people have no ideas about the cons. The cons list is a bit crowded than the pros list, because I prepared it like this. So this will be like a realistic interview. I just don't want to give the candidates with false dreams or whatever. I don't want to do this. So let's talk about the cons. The education. The education will be harder, and it will be more expensive than the other educations. You need to have some financial stability in order to buy these materials, and it's hard. I used to study in Near East University, and I had the full scholarship, but still you have to pay for the materials because you are going to learn with them. So you need this financial stability, especially for the family. So if you want to go with your own clinic, then it has got extra stress on it, because you have to just manage people, and it's so hard to do. Even if you do not own your own clinic, there's stress again, because you will just experience some complications that you have never seen before. You have to deal with bleedings, you have to deal with the pain. Sometimes you will just go for anesthesia and it happens that the patient has the allergies for it. So you have to be very careful whatever you are doing in every single step. So you will have the stress, especially whenever I just come across with an endodontist who does the root canal treatments. I have huge respect for those people, because they are just working on such a small area, and the patient is weak, and they are trying to do the best. And one of the cons is the patient almost every time has pain. So when you just combine those, this is not an experience that you can get from lifestyle. It's also physically demanding. If you are a tall person, then it's possible that you will have the chronic back problems or the carpal tunnel syndrome. So this can be a con also. There's a competition among the dentists also. If you are going for your own clinic, then you have to be the best version of yourself. But there are lots of dentists around also. So you have to just refresh yourself all the time. You have to be accountable. You have to be trustworthy. And last but not least, there are infectious diseases that you can get infected in the middle of nowhere. Because we are dealing with the needles, with the surgical procedures, there's a possibility that if you are not a careful person, if you are not paying attention for the sterilization or the infection control, then it's possible that you may have an HIV or hepatitis C from the patient. So, but the whole education is for the cons, so don't worry about it. You will not experience them when you graduate. You will experience them before graduating, so you will be familiar with them. But pros and cons are like this. The pros are heavier than the cons, so it's okay to just go with the dentistry.
Exactly, like you put it. Well, it's very important as well, like you said, to have a very realistic picture to paint here, because like you mentioned, it is important for those students who want to know everything. They do not want to see a dream. They do not want you, for example, to paint a dream for them. It's very nice. I believe that the prospective students are going to be very, very grateful for this interview. So yeah, like you put it, even if we have the cons, with whatever cons you have mentioned, that's where we see why you mentioned that at the very beginning, the characteristics of a dentist, the skills of a dentist should be problem solving and patience. Because if you have these two at the very basis at the very core of your character, then I believe you'll be able to adapt to all these cons and try to solve them and assess them and address them one by one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you once again. We are approaching the end of our show for today, but before ending, is there any advice, any personal advice that you would like to give our viewers today?
Actually, I just want to mention three more points, but this is more about after you graduate, because when you just study, most of the time you will not have any idea about what are you going to do when you graduate. Think about this. You're a first year dentistry student. You are concentrating on the pros. You are doing okay. You have a good handcraft. You have a good time management. And if everything is going well for you, you will need to experience some new events when you graduate. And I just want to give three examples to it because I just prepared it before. Instead, you are going to, in case you are going to ask. So one of them is the communication skills. Before coming to a dentistry faculty or after graduating, you have to improve your communication skills because our patients are not happy when we first met with each other. Because they will just have problems, dental problems, when they just find you and just try to communicate with you. And the thing is, people and the process are not the same thing. So doing a procedure on a model or on a phantom or not a human is not the same with doing the same procedure on a human. So those are completely two different things. So when you just graduate, you quickly realize that the mechanical steps are one thing and the patients are another thing. So if I were in your shoes, I would just try to improve my communication skills. I just learned how to be patient after I graduated from dentistry because you need to have this compassion and understanding. And the second one, which is not funny again, is many patients fear from the dentist. We don't know where this culture comes from. I think the people are more comfortable if they will not feel anything at all. If they're just not awake, then it's okay for them. But the procedures that we are doing are not so little, let's say. We are not going to, the possibility of a dentist having a major problem with a patient is not that much. But since the patient can experience it, they may have a fear. So not everyone gets excited about visiting their dentist, even if it's just a routine clinic. So you just have to deal with the negativity coming from the people. If you can just turn the tables around, if you can just give them a smile, if you can just ease their pain and ease their anxiety, then it's possible that you are going to be a good dentist. So you have to learn how to calm the people because you know what is the procedure, but the patient sometimes doesn't have any idea about the procedure. So you have to know how to just talk with them. Communication is important. And also you need to embrace this fear. You need to know this. And also, and now I'm going to concentrate on a pro. The going for a PhD program was the best decision I have ever did, let's say, because the thing is right now, I have a major understanding of what I love. If I would stay in general dentistry, but this is just me speaking, for my other friends, general dentistry may be the best option. But for me, I will advise them to always have these postgraduate programs on their minds, not just because of the titles, not because of the studies, but after a certain grade specialty, you will have the better understanding on how to do some particular procedures. And I have lots of friends that they're still general dentists, but they will just go for the particular procedures. So you can improve yourself in every aspect in dentistry. You can go for the congress, you can take the webinars online, you can have the books as a conventional way, and you can have this master and apprentice way, the relationship to learn. So don't worry about how you are going to obtain the information because you will have lots of options. So this is what is good with dentistry. So you can always reach out for the help. So this is my advice. If they have someone who inspires them in dentistry, they should follow them. Because before applying for the PhD program, I had a lecture, Professor Dr. Kaan Orhan, who inspired me in many ways. So I just wanted to be like him. So my PhD program it was determined by the people I was getting inspired. So to wrap it up, they should embrace the fear from the patients. They should get used to it, and they should improve their communication skills. And they should find what inspires them in dentistry, what you like in dentistry, the smile, the function, the implants, the cosmetic dentistry. If you will find this, the perspective of yours will change significantly.
Thank you so much. Again, these are very, very, very useful pieces of advice. And I think now, like you said, at one point you were looking up to your professor, and I believe now our prospective students and students will be looking up to you.
Ah,
Uh,
that's okay.
someone with your position, and it's amazing. I think it's going to be an honor for all of us. So before you leave the floor today, is there anything at all that you would like to add to today's session?
So if you love dentistry, then it will be one of the best decisions that you make. So this is what I can say, because if you really love this job, if you really love this profession, you will never feel like you are having a huge overload of work. Whenever I come to the faculty, or most of my friends, whenever they go for the clinic, they are still happy. It doesn't feel like you are working. You are doing something you love. So it is something you love. You can do everything.
Mhm, mhm. Definitely. Thank you so, so much. I would like to thank you for having honored us with your presence today, for having accepted our interview, for our invitation for this interview, and also to have given us this great opportunity to have such an instructive interview. I believe that this was a very, very instructive interview that all of our viewers could benefit from. And the viewers, those who will be watching the video, which will be posted on our Facebook page as well, they will get a lot of information from this video. So thank you so, so much, Doctor. On behalf
You're
of the
welcome.
whole team, I would like to thank you once again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day too.
Thank you. So now I would like to, just before wrapping up, to shed some light on how you can apply. Applying to nearest university is not very difficult. You are just going to send an email or any query that you have to the email address that's going to appear on the screen right now, info@neu.edu.tr. I repeat, info@neu.edu.tr, and the related officer is going to help you accordingly. I would also like to announce that our postgraduate scholarship application period is now open. So postgraduate scholarships, anywhere between 25% to 100% at different rates are able to be, students are going to be eligible for these scholarships, 25% to 100%, and there are different scholarship points in between this range. So you will get all information if you send your queries to the email address that's on the screen right now, and hopefully you can apply and try your luck with this. So before ending, I would like to remind you guys that on Friday we have another session with Professor Dr. Javed Atalar, the head of the Department of Petroleum and Natural Gas Engineering. So do not miss that. And you can always check our social media, our Instagram page and our Facebook page for all the weekly programs. And I will now leave you guys until the next session. Let's be connected. Don't forget.